For our final of our four awards, we will stay in the Big 12. The headset hero goes to Arizona State's head coach, Kenny Dillingham. We kind of laughed about it at the time when we were, mentioning being in Vegas for the Big 12 Media Days when they were picked last in that preseason media poll. Go on to win the Big 12 championship. They won 11 games this year. That's almost twice as many as they won the two previous years combined. They're coming off back-to-back 3-9 seasons, and then they go on to win 11 games. He was the Big 12 Coach of the Year. I mean, this is a team, because of that media poll and just the perception around the team, this is a team that didn't even get ranked until the middle of November when they were 8-2. Like, it took that much to just finally get people to believe in it. I think a lot of that has to do with another that dude that you mentioned was Cam Scadaboo, and just how he really took over the imagination of the country. But I think he is such a reflection of Kenny Dillingham. Like you even see the two of them in celebrations and stuff. Like they're like two peas in the pod. It seems like so. Just kudos to Kenny Dillingham, who really has turned that program just on its head.
Yeah, it's been one of the most fascinating things to watch and observe. So let's rewind the clock. About a decade ago, he was in school at Arizona State. I don't know about you, Jim. My favorite moment post-game of the entire season was when Kenny Dillingham is celebrating after a win and then sees the fans, fellow Arizona State student, I guess not fellow, they were Arizona State students at the time. And he just looks at them and goes, I was you, and loses his mind on the field. I mean, literally, that was my favorite. I get chills thinking about it now because he's always brought a joy to the craft. I can remember watching him as a young assistant. You track him, whether it was at Memphis or Florida State or at Auburn, and then he comes out and becomes the offensive coordinator. When you're calling games, you sit down with these coordinators. And I can remember in advance of calling Oregon, Arizona, he came back, and at the time, you had a feeling that the Herm Edwards era was going to end at ASU. And I remember asking very bluntly with Ted Robinson, my colleague for a long time, hey, you like being back in Arizona, huh? And he didn't shy away from me. He said, yeah, that's my dream job, okay? A little bit of north of here is my dream job. Heck yeah, I want to go get that thing. Like, he's always been open about his passion, his heart. And I think in the transient nature that, of course, college football has become, we know what coaches can do and where they often go. You go back to that opening press conference, this is where he's always wanted to be. He breaks down and talks about the Valley and activating it. It was activated. I think of the Inferno this season. I think as they caught steam, as they take down an SEC opponent, as they run through the Big 12, you're saying, whoa, here this sleeping giant comes. And it finally became awoken. And I think watching their run in the CFP and that game against Texas, they were not a team that won a conference that was down. They were not a team that couldn't hang. To me, Texas could have easily been playing in the national championship. Texas, Oregon, you could debate who's the second best team in America behind Ohio State, right? Notre Dame, you could have that debate, but I think between those three, the way that the playoff at least shook out, and Arizona State was right there. They didn't bail. They didn't back down from anything. They had, to me, the environment that welcomed competition. They had Jaden Rashada coming back after starting as a true freshman under Kenny Dillingham. He gets injured this time last year. In comes Sam Levitt. Out goes Jaden Rashada to another school. And here comes Sam Levitt. We're thinking, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? He had an elite season, and he's a guy who's talked about for the Heisman, entering his second season as a full-time starter in major college football. So I just love the environment he's cultivated. Then I think the last thing, it's often talked about that Colorado and Deion Sanders flipped their roster over the most dramatically among anybody. And yeah, that is true. But like 3 players less than that, if you tally it up or so, there's Arizona State. I mean, they had a dramatic amount of new faces in year 1, again in year 2, add in the coordinator and Marcus Arroyo. And the culture, which is so overused, but so paramount when it comes to still winning in the transient pay-for-play model that college football is, at least today, Kenny Dillingham's nailed it. He's absolutely nailed it. Picked last, finished first. What a beautiful story. I don't think this thing is going anywhere. And in the Big 12, I've always said it, if you're a SoCal kid, if you're a California kid, you want to drive, you want that short, less than an hour flight to go see your kids play, and you want to have a chance to be in a metropolitan area, and you don't want to live in LA, like you're going ASU. That's what they have become. So congrats to Coach Dillingham. We love having him on the show. Hopefully we'll get him back on in the spring as well. He, Graham Rossini and company, they've just done a marvelous job.
Yeah, and I think those last two awards, you really saw the like what you're explaining there too. With that dude and the headset hero. Like, to me, like the Colorado and Arizona State were the two favorites for both awards, and then just kind of like Travis kind of just eked out over Cam Scadaboo on the one, and Kenny ekes out over Deion Sanders in the other. But I mean, it could have gone either way. So it'll be interesting to see as both of those programs continue to evolve. Will they keep it at that level in the Big 12? Or will those two teams be ones that were, in not only just this year, but in recent memory, not really part of the real conversation of college football, have really become part of the real conversation in college football?